Tell me, darling, could we run away? We could hide away by the cactus desert blue. I can see it just a mile away from this crowded place. I could lay there next to you.
Welcome back to our channel, Best Freaking Friends Forever. So thank you guys again for tuning in and watching us. So today we're going to conclude our Star Wars week with Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So here's your question to answer at the end. How does this movie intertwine with Harry Potter? So giving some box office stats, its budget was $32.5 million. Its opening weekend, it grossed $23 million, which with inflation today is $61 million. In the U.S., it grossed $309 million, which with inflation is $823 million. And cumulative worldwide, it grossed $475 million, which is $1.3 billion. So we've not done a whole lot of, I think this is only our second, maybe third movie that we've done that's been anywhere in the billions for any of it. Few that have made it into the billions.
Yeah, this is either our second or third.
Yeah, and it's crazy because Luke, I mean, despite being a Jedi, even Luke still shows traits that he could lure him to the dark side. I mean, we see it a bunch of times, like he force chokes. He gets angry at Darth Vader after he threatens to turn Leia. He said, well, if you're not going to change, maybe I can change her or turn her. And that just infuriates Luke. Mm-hmm. So, and he wears black. This movie is the first movie that he wears black in.
Yeah.
And so...
Palpatine tells him, Palpatine's like, kill me. Like, go ahead and kill me. And he goes to do it. Then Vader stops him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he says that'll officially change him over to the dark side. Well, because the Jedis aren't supposed to do it for aggression. They're not supposed to fight and use it for that. And that's another thing that could lure him is that when they're on Jabba's sailboat or barge, mm-hmm. he aggressively attacked all of Jabba's henchmen.
Yeah.
And despite Yoda only teaching him that they never use their powers for attack. But in the original novel, it says attacking is only permissible when a Jedi is outnumbered. So I feel because he keeps telling Luke, he keeps nagging him to do that and watch his friends die, and trying to make Luke mad, and Luke keeps fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wants him to get mad. He wants it, like you said, to kill him so that he'll turn.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, if you won't, I'll turn her. Because he knows that she's the sister.
Right. Well, yeah, so we'll go to that where Luke has to go save Han. And he has this, we don't even get to see Luke create this plan or anything. The only thing we see is that the droids go in to talk to Jabba to negotiate a deal. And Luke's like, here, you can have these droids. Of course, C-3PO's like, you know what? You're not taking me.
This is, I think, my favorite scene in the movie after the fact, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so then we get to see that. And then we see a bounty hunter show up with Chewie. And it's like, what is going on? You know, like the first time you watch it, you're like,
how did he get captured?
Right.
Wait a minute. When did that even happen? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because even whenever they were getting ready to freeze Han, Chewie could have took the place out. And Han told him, nobody.
That's Leia.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chewie's capable. He's quite capable. So, yeah, the fact that he was even caught. But we find out that the bounty hunter was Leia.
That's my favorite part. When she unveils herself, I was like, because I didn't see it coming. I have to say, right. I was oblivious. It was woohoo, way over my head. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Because I was like, man, first of all, how did they capture all these people, all of them, and then they're going to get rid of them? I'm like, dang it. Well, yeah, and then it was her. And I was like, I love it. I was like, that is so cool.
Yep. And that was part of Luke's ultimate plan. I mean, he had a plan the whole time. You know, he was just playing Jabba the whole time.
Yep. Well, and I like Harrison Ford's acting when he gets out of it, out of the carbonite. He gets unfrozen. He acts like he's cold, he can't see, and all this stuff. And I think his acting is really, really good there. I don't know. I do. I think he did a really good job with that.
Yeah, because what did she call it? She called it something. Did she call it carbonite sickness?
Maybe. Well, because he hadn't had to use his eyes forever, so that's probably why he couldn't see there. And he obviously was, he hadn't used his legs, so.
Yeah, because
Chewie comes.
They never address how long he was in it.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And then the reconnection between him and Chewie just gives him this big hug, and Han's like, I'm okay. And I was like, oh.
I know. I love Chewie. He's so cute.
So anyway, so they're there, and Han and Leia are talking. And she's looking longingly like he's going to come back. Or when they blow up the Death Star, like the big Death Star. And she's looking, and he's like, I'm sure he made it out. And Han turns to her and he says, you love him, don't you? And she says, yes. And he's like, okay, well, when he comes back, I'll back off, basically. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh. And she just starts laughing at him. Basically, she's just like, he's like, what? He's like, she's like, it's not like that. She's like, he's my brother. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, wait, what? Like, when they start kissing, he's like, and you can tell he kisses with his eyes. That's what I love about him. He's kissing with his eyes open, and he's like, really? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm so confused right now.
It took him some time to, like, put it together, because he's like, first he's like, because it's like, you see these wave emotions. Like, first it's like relief, and then it's like, wait a minute, you kissed your brother, and then I thought you liked your brother. And then, like, you kind of see him coming back to this, like, okay, I love her. Like, it was really good acting, for sure.
I just thought that part was fine. That's another one of my favorite parts.
So my favorite part in this movie has to be, it's a big scene where Luke is talking to Leia, and he tells her, Darth Vader is my father. And it's a lot of conversation. And then he says, I have a sister. And then it kind of clicks with Leia that, like, all these feelings she's been having, because she does love Luke. And I think she doesn't understand that love until and then once he tells her, I have a sister, I think it all hits her all at once. And it was like, oh, okay, this is why I love you. And this is the love I have for you. He says he has to go back to
Dagobah.
Yeah, he has to go back to Dagobah. And so then he walks away, and she's still on the bridge because she's just overwhelmed with emotion. And Han walks up because he just saw them together, and he's not too thrilled. But I like that part because he goes, because she's like, well, I can't tell you. He's like, but you can tell Luke, can't you? He's really upset about it because he's like, yes. You can tell him, but you can't tell me. And he starts to walk away, and she's just so upset because she's like, she's conflicted. She doesn't know what to do. And then he turns around and she just says, hold me. And I really like that. It's just that whole scene from start to finish, with Luke, and then finishes with Han, just the whole thing. That's probably my favorite.
I think Han Solo has kind of been mad at Luke in a way. Like, because he sees the love between them, and he doesn't understand it at that point. So he really thinks that they've got something for each other. But yet he does too. And what movie was it in where I think it was 2, where he calls her, or she calls him a scoundrel.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2? And the second, or the 5th one, episode 5?
I'm thinking back. Yes. Yeah, because they're trying to get the ship up and running to go to the city. Well, they're trying to hyperspace jump or whatever, and they can only make it to the city. Yeah, so yeah, it's the second one. Sorry. I had to, do it all.
Yeah, I don't know. Because he doesn't think she'll fall in love with a scoundrel.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I wouldn't call him a scoundrel. I don't know. I don't know what I would consider Han Solo.
He's Han.
He's Han. I don't know what else to say.
In the newer movies, there's a part where Luke is talking about Han, and Luke says, well, Han was Han about it. Like, how do you describe Han?
I don't know. That's definitely, and it's crazy how these actors can make these iconic characters.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them are definitely, Leia, and how these actors can just bring them to life. And I always love reading about, oh, well, you know, the actor said this about it, and that's how, like, this came to be, and how they can be so intuitive, I guess, about, and immerse themselves in those characters, I guess.
I think my second favorite scene is where they're on the sail barge, Jabba's sail barge, and they go out because they're gonna make Luke walk the plank.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, I just like everything about it, where Luke takes over the ship that they're on, and they're trying to, just the whole battle scene. I just really liked all of that for some reason.
I don't know. For me, it was the first, I don't know. I feel like it was the first time where Luke is really coming into his own. Like, you can tell he's had the training. You can tell he's gaining confidence in himself. Like, because he's like, you really don't want to do this. I'm asking you one more you know what I mean? Basically telling Jabba, you don't want to do this. Like, I'm giving you one more chance not to do this. Or what, you know what I mean? Like that. And
I love that Leia is the one that kills Jabba.
yeah.
I like that, because he's the one that imprisoned her. He's the one that put her in those clothes, we talked about those in another video. Because Carrie Fisher is the one that set off the trend for the French cut swimsuit.
Well, I guess they had two costumes. They had a metal costume where she couldn't really move at all. And she did all her scenes there. Like that swing, like that was really Mark Hamill and her that did that swing scene. And I guess they had a metal one, like, costume, and then they had like a rubber one that they did for more of the bigger stunts. Well, I guess the metal one, she would have to be checked all the time for malfunctions, or, you know, and I guess some of them did. Like, it did happen where stuff popped out that, you know, shouldn't have.
Yep. So it says Jabba's sail barge was filmed in Yuma, Arizona. The crew had problems avoiding the 35,000 dune buggy enthusiasts in the area. To preserve secrecy, the producers claimed to be making a horror movie called Blue Harvest with the tagline "Horror Beyond Imagination," and even had caps and t-shirts made for the crew. The chain link fence and a 24-hour security service could not prevent die-hard fans from entering the set and sneaking some photographs. Could you blame them, though? You're waiting for, like, you're waiting for this big, you know it's going to be the last movie of the series, and you're just like, I gotta see it.
Oh, I don't think we talked about Yoda and how George Lucas, in the 2004 DVD release, he explained that the reason behind why Yoda told Luke that Darth Vader was his father, Luke had consulted with, or Lucas, I didn't know this is pretty cool, that he consulted a child psychologist during the making of the film. The psychologist said that unless it was unequivocally stated that Vader was Luke's father, moviegoers age 12 and under would dismiss Vader's claim to be Luke's father as a lie. He decided to go through this when James Earl Jones stated he personally didn't believe Vader was telling the truth in Empire Strikes Back, no matter how many explanations he was given. And originally, Yoda was not in the script, which is crazy to think about. Yoda was added when George Lucas determined him best to properly confirm to Luke as to whether Darth Vader was his father or not.
Yeah. I always thought Tony was a Yoda fan. And then one day Tony was like, I've not always been a Yoda fan. I'm a Darth Vader fan. And I was like, oh. So then I had to, like, kind of switch up the things that I would send him and, like, get him and stuff. And last night I was asking him, I was like, because, you know, we saw Yoda. And, which I'm not really a Yoda fan in these movies. I much prefer, which he's CGI in the first three. And so I prefer him in those. And he's a lot wiser. And, well, we get to see fight scenes with Yoda in the first three.
For these three, I was like, watching, I was like, how did he become such an iconic character? Like, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And the one that he was in, I was like, first of all, he wasn't in long enough. He really didn't. I was like, how did he become such an iconic character? Like, I had trouble. So I guess I will have to watch the first three to understand why he's so iconic.
Yeah. But I asked Tony last night, I said, why is Vader your favorite? And he said he doesn't know. He just always has liked him. And he said, but he remembers, he said that, like, these were always on around the holidays, like Thanksgiving and Christmas. They would always be on, and he would sit and watch it with his dad. And he said Vader would come on, and he was always scared of Vader. He was always like, this, like, as a kid, is always like scared him. And he said what really did it for him was the breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what scared him.
Yep.
But it's funny how to see, like, as a kid, you're scared of him, and then, you know, as an adult now, it's his favorite. It's pretty cool. But ultimately, Vader did the right thing because he had to save Luke.
Yep. And I agree with that. I think that goes back to Luke saying, "Hey, I know that it's in there. I know that you have," and he's begging for him. He's like, "Please don't let, basically help me."
Well, and that's the difference between Luke and Palpatine. Palpatine he's so blinded. Like, Palpatine thinks he's like this great be-all creature, being, whatever. Like, he knows all and can see all. But ultimately, Palpatine can only see the dark side. Because every time he talks to somebody, he's like, I can see the anger in you. I can see the fear in you. He sees all the bad. And he's not open to anything good. And so I think that's why he never sensed Vader going to the light side, is because he couldn't even see it in anybody else, let alone Vader.
Yeah,
and that's and Luke could see it in Vader because
he's light.
Yeah, he's light.
Well, and in the final lightsaber duel between Luke and Vader, when Vader learns that Princess Leia is his daughter and Luke's long-lost twin sister, he says, if you will not turn to which we talked about, if you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. Although Princess Leia doesn't turn to the dark side, this does loosely foreshadow Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, that was filmed in 2015, when Ben Solo, son of Leia and Han, turns to the dark side.
You gotta watch these too.
Oh no, I just spoiled it for myself. Didn't know that Leia and Luke or Han Solo had a kid.
There's the line, there is no try, there is only do. That's a big thing that Yoda says. And Luke doesn't get to lift the spaceship. He's trying to lift the space. In the second one, he tries to lift his ship so that he can start working on it, but Yoda's the one that lifts it for him.
And I'm surprised he did that because... And he didn't even make him try very much. Like, he made him try once, and then he did it for him. And I just remember thinking, I was really surprised that he did that, because I feel like he was kind of hard on him and wanted him to try and wanted to push him, but then he went and did it for him. So I just remember being very surprised.
Right. Well, I think it goes to show, though, that, I mean, we see it in the first episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then we see it with Yoda and 5 and 6, that the light side does have their mistakes, because there are things that the light side does, and all of them, where they have their flaws.
I thought this was kind of cool. Darth Vader's footsteps were recorded in underground tunnels by the Golden Gate Bridge to help create an ominous effect.
Cool.
That was kind of cool.
Jabba the Hutt puppet took Secret Freeborn's team 3 months to build, which that seems a little bit of a short period of time. It cost $500,000, $500,000 to make him, and he weighed 2,000 pounds. Yeah,
it took 6 people to work the full animatronic Jabba the Hutt. Well, Endor is the name of a place in the Bible. It's a village found in Israel's territory of Issachar, where King Saul went on the eve of his final battle with the Philistines and came across the Witch of Endor.
Yeah. Well, these movies have a lot of biblical reference to them. Like when Luke burns, cremates Vader at the end. That's a biblical reference to burn people on the altar. James Earl Jones admitted that he didn't believe that Darth Vader truly became a good guy at the end. When asked, he replied with, "Not necessarily. I didn't want to believe him. I thought he was lying." So it goes back to, people wouldn't have believed that he was Luke's father. I don't know, though. I mean, I think he changed because he dies. So we wouldn't know if he would have went back to the dark side. And it wasn't meant for him to live on. That wasn't his destiny, I don't think. I think his destiny was finished. I mean, there's like a prophecy with Darth Vader that goes along with him and his storyline, and I feel that his prophecy was fulfilled once he saved Luke.
We talked about the original name of the film was Revenge of the Jedi, and it was deemed wrong because Jedis are not revengeful, and it was a path to the dark side, so it was changed to Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
to change that film either. In a brief 6-year period, Harrison Ford appeared in 6 of the greatest movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Apocalypse Now, and Blade Runner.
So earlier, Shelley asked, how does this movie intertwine with the Harry Potter movies? And the answer is Warwick Davis, who played Wicket in this episode, also played 2 characters in Harry Potter, Grip Hook and Professor Flitwick. All right, that was Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi. Let us know what you think. And did you like all 3 of these movies? These are the original. This is the original Star Wars trilogy, and they're in the middle of the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know. And until next time, may the Force be with you. I am Tiffany. This is my BFFF Shelley. Join us next time, friends, for another great episode.